Anticipation has been building for weeks. The most highly anticipated number 55 pick in the history of the NBA draft.
The Los Angeles Lakers select Bronny James.
A father and a son, that feels like something that could be magical. The road to ultimate victory in the NBA is with two-way players. Bronny's of that ilk. We're excited to see this story unfold.
A lot of it, thank you. LeBron and Bronny James would be the first father and son teammates in the NBA. But this isn't the first time we've seen it in sports. MLB had senior-junior duos Tim Raines and Ken Griffey. Gordie Howe played with both of his sons in the NHL, while in the NFL, Ted and Chuck Nesser played in the 1920s for the Columbus Panhandlers. But Bob Myers had this to say about the way J.J. Redick should move inside the building when dealing with Bronny James.
If you're J.J., you sit down and say, listen, I might even be harder on you. Just understand that. It might not be fair, but I'm not going to have anyone saying that I'm taking it easy on you. You turn it over in practice, I'm going to say something to you. You do something on film, I'm going to say something to you. That's the only way it works, because the second the rules are different for him, you might lose the other players on the team.
I know this morning we're being very basketball-y, but I had to bring my dog Dominique Foxworth in so we can go players only on this panel, but we needed a little football jazz to it as well. Jay Will, when you hear what Bob Myers says about the way Bronny James should be treated by J.J. Redick, what's your first thought?
I just disagree with it. First off, Bronny ain't playing 25 minutes a night, right? Like, Bronny's going to be, as CJ alluded to before, on that stay ready squad. And the one thing that you don't have to worry about with Bronny is Bronny showing up late, Bronny being lazy. That is not who this dude is. Just to give insight, he's one of the hardest working guys there is, right? There's a reason why GMs and people vouch for his character. Even having LeBron James as his father, everything around the way he treats the game of basketball is with respect. I've seen it in person. I've seen there be games when he's playing in Las Vegas where he's really not going to know if he's going to play, coming off his heart issue, where he's there an hour and a half before anybody else, just getting shots up, working on his game. He stays afterwards. All these are characteristic traits of a guy who is super aware and understands that the awareness around him or the criticism is going to be higher because of his father. You're not going to have to worry about that with Bronny James. And people, by the way, on teams, they're going to protect him, man, because he gets it. He understands how the game is played, CJ.
I agree, and I don't think it's necessarily JJ's responsibility to specifically focus on Bronny. Obviously, they're going to have a development plan for him and their other rookie, Dalton. They're going to continue to try to figure out ways to help them improve, but it's on the veterans on the team. It's on his dad. It's on Bron. It's on AD. It's on Reeves. It's on the rest of the squad, the guys that are actually playing to hold him accountable for his actions. That's what the great teams do. That's how you build culture. It's from within. You're governing yourself and you're governing each other. But I don't foresee him having any issues because LeBron is one of the most disciplined players to ever play the game of basketball. He's in year 20 plus, showing up to the arena 4 or 5 hours before the game. So what do you think Bronny's going to do? He's going to show up to the game 4 to 5 hours before it starts. He's going to have to anyway, because from a developmental standpoint, you have to get ahead of the curve on your shot selection, on your reps, on your pick and roll, on your film. You have to do more and more and more because most of the world is expecting less.
Dom, how do you think this is going to play out in the locker room for Bronny and the rest of the Lakers?
Yeah, ultimately, sports is great because it's about what you bring to the game. Like, I think there's a lot of other baggage that comes with a bunch of different players. There's hype that comes with players. There's expectations that come with players. This is a lot more attention than the 55th pick is ever going to get. So there is going to be more attention on him, and it's going to be slightly different. But ultimately, either you can ball, you can bring value to your team or not. And that's how it's going to determine how the team feels about him and what happens in that locker room. And if he's taking people's minutes eventually, it's going to be because he's contributed. And no one's going to have a problem with that. It only becomes a problem if he takes minutes from people that feel like he doesn't deserve it. And I don't see that happening with this Lakers team or with, frankly, any team in professional sports that wants to get better and win.
I think we've seen it in the locker room a lot, though, that somebody becomes the little bro for everybody, right? There's that one kid that you see something in, he has some potential, and so everybody's looking out for him. They're shooting with him early. He's obviously going to get to the game 4 or 5 hours early, CJ, because he's going to be riding with his pops. They can save on gas. But when you look at what Bron has done for his son, because yesterday I felt like I'd tell him not to draft him if they didn't want him, if they weren't going to use him correctly, allow him to develop. I look at it now as he's providing an opportunity. The same way that all of us will use our names, will use our faces, will use the things that we've accomplished to give our children opportunities. And now it's on Bronny James to find a way to contribute. Yeah. It was on Bronny James when he was elected to the McDonald's All-American game to go out and show that you belong. It was on Bronny James when he got an opportunity to go to the combine to go out and show that you belong. That's the exact same opportunity his father has given him now. Jay, what does Bronny James need to show when he walks into the locker room so he does gain the respect of all the players there for the Lakers?
Same thing he's always showed, RC, like knowing him, like he's humble. He's humble in the way he approaches the game, and he's going to listen to guys like LeBron. He's going to listen to JJ. He's going to do all the things and more that they're going to ask of him because that's the way he's built. That's his DNA of who he is. And look, his game, by the way, a floor spacer who is athletic, who can defend. So much of the NBA is fit. For a guy that can play that way off of Austin Reeves in practice and things, I think his game is actually going to do pretty well, and he can grow into his game, which is the next iteration.
CJ, I know this doesn't matter to like guys 1 through 7, 1 through 8, right? They understand where they stand on this team, but let's talk about the back half of this roster. Are they going to be looking at Bronny James thinking that he has an opportunity or a chance that they don't to get minutes, to get looks, to get shots?
I don't see it that way because the NBA is a pecking order that gets established very, very early on, and the alphas separate themselves from the group. And obviously, LeBron and AD will separate themselves from the group, and then the role players will continue to fight for minutes. Everybody will have equal opportunity until they don't. But I think for Bronny, it's about doing the right things, right? If your job is to make sure the Starbucks is on time, you make sure the Starbucks is on time.
No,
I had to do the same thing.
Krispy Kreme for me.
I had to do the same thing. I was picking up donuts. I was picking up hot cakes with sausage back in the day, and there was no Uber and no Postmates. But you have to take all of those jobs seriously, and you have to take your job seriously, and you get respect from your peers. Even if you beat out somebody that's 9th man in the rotation, it's going to be because you earned it on your own merit. It's not going to be because they gifted you it. This is the Lakers we're talking about. They have championship or bust aspirations nearly every year. So if Bronny's getting minutes, it's because he earned them. But I don't foresee that happening right away. It's going to take time. But I do think he'll be a much better pro than he was in college because of pace, space, and who he'll be playing with. He'll be asked to not do a lot, and I think he's going to over-deliver based on what he's going to be asked.
Jump in here, Dom.
Yeah, I think, RC, you made a point that was good that I think helped clarify this for me is like, yeah, we have to be honest. Part of the reason, a major part of the reason why he got drafted this year to where he went was because of LeBron James. But he still got the opportunity. And what happens from this point is going to be dependent on what he can produce. And maybe he gets a little leg up because of what happened. But I think we can all go through ourselves and like many other really successful people and understand that sometimes it's luck, sometimes it's relationships. And it doesn't really matter how you get in that door. It's what you do once you get in there. So once we get past this and he starts playing, we'll see how long his career is. And his career duration is going to be dependent on how much he can contribute to a team. The fit matters, the play matters. And I think it's worth at that spot taking a risk on the guy who's the son of the greatest player that a lot of people have ever seen. Yeah. It's not a bad risk to take if it costs you a 55th pick.
It absolutely isn't. But also, this shows me, to me, LeBron James is the most powerful athlete that's ever been a part of team sports. And Rich Paul, to me, is the most powerful non-GM, non-owner in the entire NBA. To orchestrate these things this way, to give Bronny James this opportunity, which, in fact, is the best opportunity for him to succeed. How sure are you that LeBron James and Bronny James can find a way to make this work, to give Bronny James an opportunity at a good career?
I mean, look, you know how special it has to be for LeBron. Whatever time he wakes up in the morning and he goes and he works out, his son, I'm sure, has already, I mean, all of his kids end up working out with him, right? The fact that now you can say, hey, let's go get it. I mean, they were on the shop one time and they were talking around. He had this moment with Bronny a couple years ago where he's like, do you want to be a pro? And Bronny was like, yes, I want to be a pro. He's like, then let's go get it. Bronny has put himself in the position to go get it. LeBron has helped him get there. So Define success. I mean, this is already an incredible amount of success. It's a father and son duo. Do you think, is Bronny going to be a 5-time All-Star? I wouldn't define success for Bronny that way. Could he be a role player in the league? That's going to be up to Bronny at the end of the day to go get that for himself.
But that's the thing, though, right? This is success for the family. Right, you saw the tears from Savannah. You saw Bronny James crying. Obviously, this is something we've never seen in the NBA. We're talking about success for Bronny James. Success for him to be able to contribute.
This is success. But I was speaking at the NBA luncheon the other day with Adam Silver to all the draftees. I'm like, you are a part of 0.00001% of the world.
Yeah.
Of the world. Let's just take a second to reframe what success actually is. I know everybody wants to be a contributor.
Yes.
But CJ, as you and I both know the reality of it, it's hard to become a contributor of that. Only 5,000 players have ever played in the league in the history of the world? This is success. Let's just reframe it that way.
Yeah, I was going to add, I think comparison is a thief of joy. He needs to just embrace the moment of being able to play the game he loves for a living and figure out how to get the best out of Bronny, whatever that is. And I think that's the way I've always approached my career. Maximize my talent, get up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., whatever it takes to get the most out of whatever your talent is. Maybe that's a role player, maybe that's 4 years in the league, maybe that's 6, maybe that's 10, whatever the case may be. But if you do that, then you gave yourself the best chance at success.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people want to see Bronny James fail. I'm one of those that wants to see him succeed, but you made a good point there. You were the 10th overall pick in the draft, and you got up at 5 o'clock. You got up at 6 o'clock. Those are the same sorts of athletes he'll be facing now, and he will have to find a way to be better than them to give himself an